Hello, my name is Laura Miller, and this is Lifting Spirits Therapy. I use the pronouns of her, and hers. And who are you?
I am Donna Michelle Miller, but I prefer to be called Michelle.
And if I may ask, what are your pronouns?
She, her, and hers.
Thank you very much. And may I ask, have you ever been to a social worker before?
No.
No? Okay. Well, social work, we're just here to help you become better. I would say in the sense of helping you to determine, get you to whatever goals you want to set or anything like that. We do have confidentiality agreement. I would say that means whatever you say here will not be taken out of this room. It might be shared with my supervisor, but that is it. I would say that is unless you decide that you are trying to hurt yourself or others. There is some type of abuse of child or elder, or that it is court ordered. Do you understand all of this?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to set a timer here just so that we know about what time we need to start wrapping things up. And so, can you tell me what brings you in today?
I have been a widow now for 2 months, 2 years. 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
November 2nd, 2017, my husband passed away from esophageal cancer.
Uh-huh.
And I feel I'm doing pretty good with it. I still have my moments. He was a little bit physically abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And so stuff that he would say to me always pops in my head when things aren't going as smooth as they should.
Okay, and is this something that, you want to try to stop, it necessarily popping into your head?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship, or any other details you'd like to share?
We were married for 31 years when he passed away. We have 3 children and a daughter-in-law and a grandson who's 2. So when he passed away, our grandson was 6 months old, 5 months old.
Oh, so you kind of had someone come in just as to kind of sadly had to leave.
Yeah, and it did help a lot. I'm glad he got to meet Roman, because his name's Roman James. Roman is from the Bible, and James is after all his grandpas and great-grandpas, because my husband's middle name was James. He was Michael James. So they got all the grandpas in there because my father-in-law's name was James, and my sister-in-law's father's name is James.
Oh, that's really cool.
I'd show you a picture, but I shut my phone off.
Well, I would say it's good not to have distractions necessarily. Can you tell me a little bit more about situations where something you said might have popped into your head?
Just that when he'd been drinking, and if he was talking about money or something, he would always tell me that I couldn't make it on my own. I couldn't make it without him. And he mostly did that when he got mad about something, or if he was just trying to hurt my feelings. Because I am making it, for the most part. I'm still making adjustments, and I have to remind myself it's been only 2 years, so I'm doing the best I can do, but sometimes his voice just gets a little loud in my head.
So I hear you saying that it gets when like time gets hard is when it mainly um his voice pops into your head.
Yeah, I have an example.
Would you like to share it?
Yeah, sure. So I went to get I'm a diabetic too,
Mhm.
and I went to pick up one of my medicines that I've been using since he passed away, before he passed away, and I've been paying a $10 copay because I had a copay card from the company that makes the medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to pick it up, and they told me it was going to be $286.35. I said, I have insurance. He said, yeah, that's with running it with insurance. Well, after talking to the pharmacist, I have to get a 90-day supply. That's my only choice.
Mm-hmm.
The copay card I have does not cover 90 days. It's only for a month. So I do not have $283, especially right now before Christmas. So I went online and got a different card thinking maybe that was the problem, but no, that's when we found out that their card is only for a month at a time. I messaged my doctor because I have 24/7 access to her, so I emailed her and told her what the problem was because this all was happening on Thursday and Friday, and I spent most of Thursday and Friday after I got off work on the phone with the insurance, and it was too late to call the company that I have the card with because their business hours are 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, so they're not open on the weekend. And Monday is my very busiest day at work, so I didn't get a chance to do it today. So that's on my list of things to do tomorrow, to see about finding out. But my doctor was able to get me samples, and she gave me enough for a month, so at least I can get through a month, and I'll be in a new year, but I have a month that I can work on it. So it just was really stressful Thursday and Friday to me because I just could hear his voice whispering in my ear, told you so. But all I have to do is figure it out, and I can get it taken care of and not listen to it. It just makes me mad.
So would you say that you described all this stuff and you had a hard day, which is normal? I would say, and you heard his voice in the back of your head saying, "I told you so," that like you can't make it without me, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you heard?
Yes.
Okay. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you think this happens when you have some type of conflict? Do you think it like happens a lot, or is it only when it's like really bad conflict?
It I would say whenever something new gets introduced to my budget, because I'm still learning the budget, because he did all the money, all the time. I had an allowance, he had an allowance, but he had total control over the money. So just when I think I have it all figured out, and this goes here and this goes here, so then when there's a hiccup in my budget, that I have to stop and think and not panic, because that's my first inclination, is to sit down and cry. But I haven't yet.
That's good.
Maybe a good cry is what I need.
Yeah, I would say it is always good to let your emotions out, however they may come. Do you find yourself having more of these as it gets closer to the holidays and a little more stressful times?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because I can't give our kids, the Christmas I want to, but in the same aspect, my children are adults. They're 20, 29, and 31. And I am a very bad gift stressor. I stress every time over any gift. And so I'd have to say yes. But I stressed even when he was here because he'd only give me a certain amount. So then my stress was, what can I get for that price that they're going to like? And they've always liked my gifts every time. Oh, that's just what I wanted now. They could just be saying that because, I'm their parent. But I have always been a stress giver, always.
What I hear is you definitely pointing out that you are a good mother. I would say that even though you have always had this issue with like stressing over gifts and stuff, that like it does seem that your kids appreciate, at least they said they appreciated what you were able to get them with whatever you were able to provide, which that is a definite strength for you, is to be able to have the happiness of your children.
Yes. I'm kind of sad right now. I'm hoping it changes, but one of the gifts I always get them is state fair tickets, and they didn't have their Black Friday sales like they normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on my list also, to call the fair and see if they're going to have that. If you have any ideas, that'd be great.
I don't necessarily know what I can really do to help with gifts, but
make suggestions.
I don't know. But could you maybe tell me a little bit more about how you view this issue, and the fact that bringing it back to, you want to like the little back voice in the back of your head a little bit less. I would say, why do you think it still pops up so much? Because you did say you were trying and you like get stuff in order and everything, and that you're doing pretty good, but why do you think it still bothers you?
I just do, because it does bother me. When he first passed away, I can say I did retail therapy a little bit more than I should have. So I'm still kind of paying for that 2 years later. And I didn't go overboard. I mean, I don't think I did. His life insurance was used what I think he would have been happy with. I paid for our daughter's college, which I know is something he would have wanted me to do, and I have no regrets on that. I updated my house. But I did also do a little frivolous spending, and when I stop and think about that, I get upset at myself, because even as I was doing it, I was saying, don't do this, and I just couldn't stop myself. But I am getting better. We had no credit cards when he passed away, and now I have 3. Actually, I have more than that, but I've paid off a couple of them, and I'm not going to use them anymore. And when I get all the other ones paid down, I'm not going to use those unless it's an emergency. And I'm not going to say, oh, but I need that as an emergency, because a need and a want are completely 2 different things. And I met a great guy, and I think he's going to be able to help a lot with that, because I've never had somebody to talk over finances with. I always was talked to about them. So I'm still learning. In 2 years, I'm still learning everything, and I only get paid every 2 weeks, so I'm still learning my budget. I've gotten really good. I've cut about everything out of it I can. I cut the home phone, so all we have is our cell phone bills. I rearranged the the cable bill so that in a year it's going to be less. It's less than a year now. I think I have 8 months left. I can discontinue that because we don't need it. There's so many stuff you can watch over. So the internet bill is only going to be $60. I have finally got in my head that me making my girls pay stuff is good for them. That's teaching them to be responsible adults. My daughter Sarah's 29 and my youngest is 20 and her name is Laura. They pay me rent out of each paycheck. They do now pay for their own cell phone bills.
Mm-hmm.
If I do use my card for something for them, they are really good. Well, Laura's really good about paying me back. Sarah's still struggling on that, which is part of my problem because I'm not doing her any favors by letting her slide, and so now I've started kind of being adult about it and telling her you have to pay this bill, and so it's causing a lot of conflict in the house. So then his voice gets really loud then, because they were buffers between me and him towards the end. So I'm trying to change the script, and for the most part they do pretty good. But Sarah's a lot like him and flies off the handle, and I don't like that.
So is it really harder? I hear that it feels like it's a little harder to talk to her because of the shared traits between your husband who passed and your daughter.
Yes.
Do you think that's part of the reason that you said that you hear his voice when you try to talk to her because of that? Does that add on to the voices that you hear on your own?
Yes. Because he set the precedence. We've always paid her car insurance. So we haven't done her any favor. We never charged her rent. And that is just as much me as him, because I figured if he wanted the money from her, he could ask for it, but I could have too. So I can't blame it all on him, and I realized that. But I left all the money stuff up to him, and he never said anything. So all I can do is make it going forward, because I realize my job as a parent is to make it so that the kids can survive on their own.
Mm-hmm. That is always one of the true jobs as a parent, which obviously, again, like I said before, is definitely one of your strengths, because you just keep pointing out how much you do want to do good by them and for them as much as you can.
And I'd have to say guilt, I probably do a little bit more than I need to. I don't know, maybe not. My youngest is really good about paying her bills. I don't even have to ask her, and she pays, but I always seem to have to ask Sarah. I do always have to ask both of them when I tell them they need to do something around the house, and they don't. So then I get aggravated, and so then I really hear his voice.
I'll say, what, if you don't mind me asking, I know you said that, like, you hear him say in your head that, like, you can't, like, financially wise, but it doesn't necessarily seem like when you get frustrated and stuff about that with the girls and stuff, it's necessarily financial. So is there something else that's popping into your head that like he says all the time to you?
No. No, it was always I couldn't make it without him is what pops in my head, and I get mad at him because I wouldn't be in this situation if we had communicated our finances better than we did. I just let him take care of it. I mean, I knew how much I made. I didn't know how much his check was. I had an idea. I had the allowance, but once my allowance was gone, it was gone. So I know it's going to be okay. I just get really frustrated and upset, and what brought it all to the head was the medicine going to $200, because I really need that medicine to keep my diabetes under control.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Do you think that you say you feel angry, when you feel angry at your husband? Do you think that necessarily overshadows you feeling other emotions of grief or anything for him? Is anger the most prominent thing you feel when you think about him?
No, it was a while, but I remember the good times, and I guess angry is not the right word. I feel I'm not doing the right thing when finances get out of whack, and that's just as much my fault as his fault. And it's really not a fault. It was just I don't like confrontation, and so he knew the best way to shut me up, and if I was talking about it, something was to bring up money.
So you were talking about how you never really got in a word edgewise money when he was alive. So do you think that's part of the added pressure when it comes to you trying? Is this the first time that you are dealing with finances on your own then?
Yes, because as soon as I graduated high school, we moved in together.
Oh, high school sweethearts type thing.
Yeah, we had been dating since 1982, and we got married in 1986.
Okay. Well, it does look like time is starting to come to a close. I would say, as we talked about, you said that you wanted to lessen the voice in your head that comes from your husband, who sadly passed away 2 years ago. And you talked about how you feel his voice in the back of your head whenever you get with like very stressful situations or with financial situations, right, when you think you figured it all out. And we also talked about your girls a little bit and your family. For next meeting, we're going to probably meet next week about the same time. We can schedule that. You can schedule that meeting up front. I would like you to think of 5 things that you can remember that sticks in your head of good things that he would say to you. If that is, do you think that would be possible?
Five things?
If that's a little too, do you want to go down to 3? We can go down to 3.
Okay, 3.
3 is good?
Yeah, because unfortunately he was sick for 18 months, so I feel that I'm still in that. I'm coming out of taking care of him for 18 months. I
Yeah.
don't regret it. I'm not mad. Wouldn't changed it for anything. But for 18 months, I was solely focused on taking care of him. And he always told me thank you for that. He always was very loving and very, I thank you for doing this. I had to give him shots in his stomach for his blood thinners and everything. So it's not that they're not there, because they are. Just because of the most recent memories, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, then I would say for next week we could do 3 things that still stick in your head of positive things, like you said. I would say, and I will see you next week.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.